Hello and welcome to the Car Buyer's Guide review of the 2017 Octavia RS TDI. What is new about this Octavia mainly are the headlights and this radar. They've added the radar to the front grille. What is new about the lights is they've split it here. It was a bit controversial when it came out new, and to be honest, looking at it now, it still is a bit controversial, although it looks 100 times better in person than it does on pictures. Let's move around the back and we'll see what's going on around there. So around the back, the lights are a little bit different here. You can see them when they're turned on. There's a bit of a C motif going on here. Obviously we have the spoiler because it's an RS. We have the RS badge, and we have this kind of agricultural-esque kind of reflector going on there. I don't know where they were going with that. Anyway, so inside we have 590 litres, which is 200 litres more than there is in the equivalent Golf on which this is based. Immediately you can see there's a bit of a drop going into the boot, so meaning if you have heavier items, going to be a bit of a pain to lift them in and out. Don't know what's going on here, but you're obviously able to take that shelf out there and make it a little bit wider here in case you have longer and wider items there. Parcel shelf comes off, but unlike the Golf, you cannot store it underneath, but underneath the floor there is a space saver wheel and tools. Clips here and here for shopping, and another one here on the loading shelf just to hang your shopping so it's not flowing all over the place. We have a lever here to let down the seats, although it's not completely flat when they are pushed down. There's a bit of a lip, but it still means you can throw stuff in. In the middle, behind the armrest, there is a flap that you can throw in skis if you are into that. So that's it for the boot. In the rear, first off, I'm impressed by the seats. They've actually put some thought into it. It's not just a rear bench, they've actually put the groove in and kind of made you hug there a little bit. So if you're going around the corners, the body roll is actually quite bearable. Although for the middle passenger, there's quite a big transmission tunnel. So if you are sitting in the middle, like now, you're kind of impeding on the two outside passengers' legroom here. And also you have this to deal with. Also the middle is only a bench, so it's not as comfortable. Going back here, the front seat here is in my driving position, which I'm 6 foot, which is roughly 183 centimeters. So legroom is good, headroom is good. So I could definitely see myself here in a long journey. In terms of things to play with, there's not much to do. There's what used to be an ashtray, which you could probably just use as storage now. Throw your keys in there, good to go. You have the climate control. Materials back here aren't as great as they would be in the front, obviously because the rear, but you also get the mood lighting or the background lighting here, electric windows all around, a speaker, but overall it's a good place to be in the rear. As you move inside, we're going to go for a drive now, but first, a key. You don't see many of them anymore. It's all keyless entry. So as soon as you start up, you may have heard it, it is a diesel. It's a 184 horsepower and 380 Newton meter diesel engine. There's a bit of a rattle when you start up, but as you get going, they do actually pump fake sound through the cabin, so it's not the worst. What powers this 184 2-litre diesel unit is a 6-speed DSG gearbox. Now, as I know this is only a facelift, but I still would have thought Skoda would have done something to the gearbox. It still feels a little bit clunky. Like DSG isn't spot on, it feels a little bit clunky, but it's still okay for the price you pay, which is €37,795. Initially, as is a turbo diesel, you do get the initial torque as you take off, which is good and is what you need. But getting to higher speeds as you drop, or as you get higher up the rev range, the torque and the power does drop off a little bit. But getting onto motorways, it's fine, and for general driving around, it is fine. And as this is an RS, you're kind of going to be taking it on back roads, kind of like a warm hatch, so it's perfect for what you need it for. Overall, the experience up front is nice. They've added the new infotainment system into this Octavia, which is a 9.2 inch, I think, either an 8 or 9.2 inch, I can't remember exactly. It's all pretty similar or familiar system than before, except it does have an updated interface, so it does look pretty good. You have still MirrorLink, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as usual, which is pretty handy, but you also have Bluetooth connectivity if you do not have an Android or Apple phone. Moving on to the seats. The seats are comfortable. They're a sport bucket seat, much like the back there, also cloth and Alcantara. With the RS badge and the red stitching, it looks pretty good, like on the D steering wheel here. The steering wheel is small, which makes you feel like you're driving something a little bit more nimble, which is nice. That gets me onto the steering. The steering is good. We actually did a filming around Mondello recently enough. Although unfortunately I couldn't rip it around the track. I did take it around the corner and I noticed there was a little bit of body roll, but nothing too major. Kind of okay, as I said, for back road driving. Something you wouldn't really notice. Getting onto the motorway, it's perfectly smooth, really nice, although there is a little bit of wind noise coming from the wing mirror and over that side too, and up around here. There's a little bit of wind noise as you get up to higher speeds. Overall though, the cabin is kind of serene, except for that diesel rattle. You can still hear it. They do pump fake sounds through the sound system, but it's nothing that is going to mask the whole diesel rattle sound, unfortunately. I was actually in my friend's pre-facelift 171 Octavia petrol yesterday, and it does have the same kind of fake sound going through the interior, although after 3,500 rounds on the diesel, you can hear the diesel engine kind of clatter in, whereas in the petrol, you don't. It's 184 horsepower with 380 newton meters torque, so there's plenty of power there for when you need it. The 6-speed DSG works pretty well, although it's still 6-speed. I know it's only a facelift, but you would have thought Skoda would have done something different other than just the face itself and the infotainment. Maybe they could have added a 7-speed and probably would have made a little bit of a difference. Do have paddles here in the steering wheel, which help a little bit, although I haven't actually been using them that much. Although the DSG is well suited to the diesel, if I was going for one, I would actually choose a 6-speed manual, just to make the experience a little bit more fun. The price of this car is €37,795, and that includes a few options like the 171 pack, which gives you some exterior bits like the wheels, and a €1,200 option of the panoramic sunroof, which does help. It actually adds a little bit of brightness into the cabin. Also, which I've noticed in previous Octavia models, is they've put black headlighting, which makes it so much nicer in this interior. The black on black on black looks very good. The materials up front are a little bit better than the rear. There's a soft touch dash, which is really nice. There's a big enough glove box there, which has a SD card slot and a CD player still. I don't know why. Materials are good. It's all the usual scene, except they haven't added the climate control system onto the infotainment system, which is good. Most buyers, including myself, would much rather be able to just change the temperature and adjust the fan speed as you like without having to go through loads of menus on the infotainment system, which is good. That's all from the 2017 Skoda Octavia RS TDI. Like, subscribe, and do everything you can to get this video out there. We'll have more reviews on the way, so stay tuned until then.